This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have two great neighbors coming on the show today, Trevor Andrew and Kevin Blair of Alair Homes Midhurst. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to having this conversation. You guys are in the publication. Many of our audience members that listen to the show know that some of the guests are current clients in the BVM world. I think they've connected those two dots, the podcast, BVM, are one and the same. But very interested to find out more about your work, as I know there's a connection to my fantastic co-host, Mr. Preston. There's a relationship there, but still new to the BVM world and coming into the Midhurst publication and deepening your roots in that community. I have many questions, many curiosities that I'd love to dive into, but let's start right at the beginning. Most obvious question. What is Alair Homes Midhurst? What do you guys do?
So Alair Homes is a franchise organization that builds custom homes, does major renovations and additions. And we've been doing this in the Collingwood region for 10 years and now branched out into the Midhurst region because we see we have a connection to that region and we're able to buy a license from Alair Homes to support that region. So this is our new foray into the Midhurst Barrie region. Alair Homes is a franchise, as I said, and there's 108 franchises spread through North America, and we're all following the same process. We're all following the same idealism and same marketing patterns, so we're held to a really high standard. So that's what makes us a little bit different than most of the other our competitors. Although there are some really good builders and trades out there, we feel we're amongst the best of those as well.
Yeah, I love that. And, although BVM isn't a franchise, we're not going to them and becoming franchisees or buying licensing. It is similar as where they have this very large company, and then they provide us with the roadmap, the blueprint, the support, the back office, the infrastructure, the software. And then they basically say, okay, Jeff, you live in Barrie. We've hired you now. You're a subcontractor. You're going to run your own show. Build it from the ground up to our business model. And It seems to have worked very well, which I imagine is similar to Alair's franchise. Like, why go the franchise option when you guys clearly have the skills to build your own homes under, Blair and Andrew Homes, for example? Why go the franchise route?
Basically, because we're not a marketing company, and they offer really good marketing. They have people that are assigned to that position. There's a process involved that not every builder has at their beck and call, and the transparency. I mean, it's so transparent that our clients work with us on every project. They see everything. We do not spend any of their money until they actually approve it through a software system. And we're accountable to that system and to our clients.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I love about franchise. Not every franchise is great, but there are many great franchises. And us being in the scaling of businesses world, we see the stats, the difference between a franchise business model who has done this, like you said, 100. Did you say 108 times?
108.
Yeah. So, and how long has Alair been around for?
12 years.
12 years. Okay. So 108 different locations, same business model refined over and over and over and over again in these different demographics with different market audiences. Talk about refining an offer, right? Whereas one small business just has the experience of that area, hopefully trying to refine that same business in that area. But when you're branching out to a broader scale, you must have things like marketing allocation dollars, hiring situations. Some of the best businesses are franchises. And I think it's a testament to the franchise model, simply because for me, it seems so evident that owning your own business is very challenging. And when you have the support of a large team set to a high standard, like you guys were just talking about, and it's been repeatable over 100 times, I think that speaks volumes. Certainly does to me. I imagine a good portion of the audience as well. As sometimes we think, franchise, not mom and pop. We want to support local, but I think they're missing the piece. With you guys, they would absolutely be supporting local, would they not?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really love that kind of hybrid franchise model, different than like a McDonald's or something like that. I can't really say on McDonald's because I don't know their whole business model, but that we look at that as a corporation, a big business, whereas there's, it pulls on the heartstrings, the emotions to support our local businesses. And I love that so much of our audience, not just ours, but across Canada, are focusing more on driving their dollars and attention into local businesses. It seems like some franchises have checked that box. We have the big business support of a corporation model driving into the local economies. And for me as a consumer, I'll be buying a house at some point. I'll be renovating at some point, and I won't be doing it. It's a great deal of conviction for me to know that the business I'm working with has repeated this process so many times, has the backing of a corporation, but they have the intimacy of a local mom and pop shop. That kind of best of both worlds, that sometimes with the local mom and pop shop, they just don't have that experience in many cases. And that's why we see, unfortunately, tragic statistics like 80% of small businesses fail in their first 10 years. That franchise model really stacks the deck in the favor of the business owner and the consumer from my point of view. I imagine you guys have felt a similar way.
Absolutely. The fact that we have to conform to everything that Alair expects each of their owners, the partners, to be held to. So carry-on warranties, fully insured WSIBs. That's the backbone of everything. And if we're not compliant, we're out.
Yeah.
And to not be part of Alair takes us out of this business altogether. I don't want to build homes unless I can be part of something bigger. And it's all about satisfaction. It's all about satisfaction for us, for our clients, and making sure that we conform to the standards that we should be held to. So
yeah, I think it's fantastic. When I say KPIs, key performance indicators, most small and medium businesses locally don't use these acronyms, don't think of these things. It's kind of that like wing it, fly by the seat of my pants model, which is unfortunate because if I'm a great cabinet maker, I should be able to run my own business, but it's just not the case. Running a business is a set of skills hard earned on their own outside of building great cabinets. So I appreciate you sharing that because I knew it was a franchise from talking to you guys a little bit, but I didn't know it was to that standard and to that depth, no corners cut essentially or removed, which I think that just brings a better product to the audience, solves more problems, gives people a better experience, and then kind of raises the standard for other custom home builders as well. If one business is doing really well, and it's because of these performance indicators and standards that they've set, other businesses are going to follow suit at some point, raising the quality of the services within that ecosystem, which makes all of our lives better. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us guys, because I just think it's great what you guys are doing. I didn't know it was that in depth, and I didn't know Alair Homes was North American wide, 108 locations. That's a pretty cool process.
We just celebrated our 10th year anniversary in Collingwood. So we've been following this process and this business model for 10 years successfully. So to be able to bring this to another area that we have control over is very exciting for us.
Oh yeah, and I think you picked a good place too. For as long as I've been with Midhurst, although I don't live there, BVM has been there for 8 years now. We just had our 8-year celebration, and it's treated us well. There's been some major growth there. Now that I've been there for the last few years, been with BVM for about 7, started in Aurora, York region, and now moved on to Simcoe County, which is where I'm going to be hanging my hat for many years to come. Midhurst is just this great community, affluent audience, but just so well connected, and that family vibe, family values, building up a local environment is very important to them. And I think you guys will fit in perfectly. So Trevor, something that I'm curious about, because you're more my age, can I guess mid-30s?
Mid-30s, yeah.
Yeah. So entrepreneurship is difficult. I mean, some people go into it because they're like, I need to make money. They're in survival mode, and I get that. It's totally fine. A lot of us come from that stage, but eventually you get past that. I need to pay for my necessities range. And now you're in this range where it's like, okay, all my bills are paid for. Now I can start saving or whatever it is. But you still have this very hard challenge in front of you running a successful business, franchise or not. It's difficult. So I'm always curious about two things, two-pronged question. What made you decide, as Kevin's been doing this for at least 10 years, so a little bit more, we have a little bit more background, a little bit more information on his background. But for you, what made you decide, I'm going to do renovations and custom homes, which I imagine is no easy set of skills, but I also want to be a part of running my own business. I know you work alongside with Kevin, but it seems like that's the future at some point. I imagine you're a big part of running this business. Two difficult things: building homes and running your own business. What made you decide that that's your thing?
I've been in this industry for about 15 years now. I've worked my way up. I started off sweeping dirt. And just working my way up. And then coming in with Alair, I worked with another previous Alair company, and then they ended up closing, and I moved on and then partnered up with Kevin. And he brought this great idea to me to let's partner up with Alair Midhurst. And I thought it was great. I love the Midhurst community. I'm locally in Barrie, and just, I was excited for this opportunity. And also with Alair, that Kevin didn't mention, we have a lot of support within Alair. As you said, it's not easy running a business and successful one. But the Alair community, the offices are so close. We have a weekly meeting, an all company meeting that every Alair office gets on with. And if you ever have any questions, everybody's so tight that if I ever had any issues, I just send an email, and I would have probably about 30 people email me back with just a different answer, but it's all the same. So
yeah. Which is, I mean, for me, one of the main things about our business, me, Sean, and the team, is I do my darndest to find people that are better at the thing that I'm dealing with than I am. If you are better than me at marketing, at fitness, at whatever it is, at software, at systems, I'm going to do my best to be around you, because you've been to a place that I want to go. I think it's simply this: if I have to learn something, I look at it as two options. I either learn on my own, which, let's just say, arbitrary number, takes a year for me to learn on my own. If I learn from you because you got 10 years experience, my senior, then that's going to condense time for me significantly and take that 12 months of learning and put it into one. It could be that drastic for me. The other part of it is learning on my own may be so arduous of a task. Many of us have been there, I'm sure. I know I have, that you quit, because it's so challenging to learn the piano on your own or learn how to build a house on your own. You don't even know what questions to ask sometimes because we're so inexperienced. So to be around those 30 people that you have within your sphere, within your business, that meeting once a week, to be able to fire off these questions and have this great bubble of mentorship is fantastic. It's a big thing that we pride ourselves on in BVM and in my team, is mentoring the next person, helping each other out wherever we can, because we want to get the most out of our day. And if time is my most valuable resource by a mile, if I can condense time and produce something in half the time or learn something in half the time, there's no greater investment for me. Investing into oneself and one's knowledge, I think, tops the charts for me. So I love that you guys have that there, and it's no wonder why you guys have succeeded on that level. It's just a fantastic story. So I did want to ask one thing, though, because I love this about what you said. 15 years and you started sweeping. There's a young audience, certainly, that's going to be listening to this, mainly 35 and on, mainly entrepreneurs locally in Simcoe County. but there are going to be some brand new business owners or people considering opening their own business. And there is that mindset of like, no, I'm 25. I went to school. I have a bachelor's degree. Sweeping the floors is beneath me. I'm better than that. So I'm not going to start. I'm going to wait for somebody to offer me that 6-figure job because that's what I feel I'm worth. Do you think that's the right path to take? Or do you think that there's a lot of value in learning from the ground up and having that humbling experience to really know what it's like to build a business from A to Z?
You need to have the humbling experience. I'm a firm believer in that. I didn't go to school. I finished high school and that was it for me. I've done a lot of career changes, so on and so forth. And then I got my foot in with this in the actual restoration world. And I just grew and grew and grew. And the next thing I know, I was hanging sheets of drywall. And I have a passion for it. I have a passion for building houses, renovations. I can see something that's not there. It's going to be there. So I tried doing my own business for a little while, and it's a lot of work when you have no support.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of work when you have no support and you're the guy sending out the invoices, hanging the drywall, doing the quoting, doing everything. So when I learned the Alair process and how much the support we have here, it's definitely a franchise, but it's honestly ran like a mom and pa little shop. Like we are all so tight knit. And even though there's other locations around us, we all support each other.
Yeah. Huge. And I mean, I see this all the time. We do a lot of recruiting in BVM. We're about 4,500 people total. So one of my roles is to hire people. And this question comes up all the time. They're like, Jeff, I have a master's degree, but I have to start here. And it's like, there's unseen value from starting from that position of sweeping, just getting so intimately connected with the business. I think it makes us a lot more grateful for when we move to the next rung of the ladder, up and up and up. I really hope people heard what you said because, you guys are a successful custom home building company. That's not some little retail shop. You guys are doing well. And, if you look back on your experience, I'm not going to say it for you, but I imagine you would agree that you wouldn't change it from what it was, starting off from the bottom and working your way into a partnership type of position in your, what are you? You got to be mid-30s, early 30s?
Yeah, 35.
Yeah. So you started that at 20,
Yeah.
and now 15 years later, not bad, man. Some of us want it right now, right? And I just think the best things in my life are built on deferred gratification. Love life, investing, wealth, fitness, growing a business. Yeah, it would be great to have that in a year. But I think there's a lot to be said about playing the long game, doing it well, and embracing the process, especially the phases that suck. We call them the phase of suck in our business. It's like if you embrace those, you're going to be a lot more prepared for the obstacles that come. You'll find the joy in it and the opportunity in it. I also think humbling moments can teach us a lot about ourselves as well. So I appreciate you pointing that out. Big part of the show, education. I think it's just a necessity in this day and age where marketing should be more about reputation and trust than pressure sales tactics. Very skilled salespeople, even on the pressure side, I think still have their place, but I think that's leaving now. I think people want to be treated a little bit better. They want to have a great experience, white glove experience, and they want to learn something. If you can empower somebody with knowledge that changes their day-to-day decisions, like a tax accountant, save me $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 at the end of the year by teaching me something rather than just doing everything for me. I think there's a lot of value to that. I think education is should be a major attribute to quality businesses these days. So this whole show is going to be about education, but this question in particular, any myths or misconceptions out there in the renovation, custom home building world that I may have in my mind, suboptimal information, and that's stopping me from making the call or learning more because I think I already know everything and it may be incorrect. Anything that you guys can clarify for us when it comes to myths or misconceptions about your industry?
Feasibility. Feasibility is the process of looking at a project, understanding clients' needs and expectations, pricing, and getting it ready to go into project planning. Feasibility is free. A lot of people in my experience won't move forward with a project. They'd rather flip their house or whatever because they're unsure and they don't want to reach out and ask the question. But it's so easy to do a feasibility. It's a couple of hours of our time, and if it works out in everybody's favor, then it's time well spent. Most people that call us for feasibility are generally interested in moving along and bettering their life in their home and for their family. But if you don't take the chance of understanding where feasibility is going to go, then you really haven't gained anything. Mm-hmm. So just make the call, do feasibility study. We look up municipalities. Is it even possible to do what you're looking to do? Is it covered by conservation authorities? How do we navigate that whole thing? So there's so many projects out there that don't get done because people are nervous about understanding what the costs are, what the process is. It's a phone call. It's so easy to do.
Which that in it of itself, I mean, somebody like myself, and I don't think there's anything special or unique about me. I love to learn, but I really just want to, maybe it's less about learning and more about avoiding unnecessarily risky decisions. Mm-hmm. So if I call you guys up and I say, listen, guys, I know nothing about renovating. All I know is that my current home that I'm living in is not fitting the bill anymore. So I didn't even think renovating or adding an addition was an option until listening to this show, maybe. I was just going to flip it and move. I can call you guys up and say, I know nothing about this stuff. Here's my current situation. Can you guys just give me a direction? Can you guys tell me what I should do or some of my options? And that will cost me nothing. If that's an hour conversation, 90-minute conversation, cost me nothing.
Yeah, correct. We want to be that trusted advisor. That's our goal in life, is to be that trusted advisor. And if we can, one person at a time, one client at a time, one opportunity at a time. And we've been doing that since we joined Alair 10 years ago, and it works. It works. You just need somebody to understand, to be educated. We want to provide that education for them.
So impactful. I love that you guys do that, because we talk about barrier to entry in many different parts of our business. What's the barrier to entry? Is it a hard obstacle? Is it confusing? Is it misconstrued? Are they getting the point and getting it quickly? Expediency, I think, is very important in this day and age. How quickly can I educate this person to increase their awareness at the very least, or their knowledge, to make a better, more informed decision, which will result in them probably trusting us, like you said, the trusted advisor. So many businesses, unfortunately, sometimes unknown, the bottleneck in their business is often some unseen, very large barrier to entry. There's a large cost. I have to drive a long way. It takes me 3 months to get the phone call in. So kudos to you guys for making that available, because I imagine it's not easy. I imagine you guys get a lot of phone calls, and you don't have to do it. You could just say, well, pay this fee, whatever it is, quoting fee. Many businesses do that, but you're choosing not to and take the necessary actions to be that trusted advisor. So I hope people heard that. Just make the call and see what you can learn from it. It may totally change the trajectory of your decisions, and it may be a much better one. But I love that you guys are doing that. More businesses need to do that. Now, getting into you guys. We heard a little bit about the journey. We know about the business, but we want to dive into the men as well. So Trevor, I'll start with you. What puts a smile on your face outside of your business? What do you get up to, man?
Sports, hanging out with family, camping outside. Just, we live in Ontario. We definitely don't have the weather on our side most of the time. So especially right now in the summer holidays and everything, just hanging out outside, riding bikes with the boys, my kids.
Oh, you got kids too?
Yes.
2?
3.
3.
3.
35. How old?
I have 2 stepsons, and then I have a baby girl. So 10, 7, and 2. So
you're a better man than me. I'm 37, and the way I look at fatherhood, I have a great relationship with my pops. I look at it as really like the highest privilege for a man to literally create another human being and give a lifelong commitment to mentoring and growing that person, try to make them better than you. Certainly been the case with my dad and I, although I think he's still better than me a little bit. I'll say that because he's probably going to watch this. But
I hope my kids say the same thing. So.
But 35, man, like what is it being a dad, man? How do you run a business, play the sports, ride the bikes? I was talking to you yesterday. I should have remembered this. I think you were at a ball game or something like that with your little one. Soccer game. Yeah, I could hear it in the background. Yeah. How do you do it all, man? Like I'm scared to make that leap because I'm at least 12 hours a day with work, but I like it. So it's not like anybody's forcing me to be here. And then you tack on my fitness, which is the foundation to my life and my study. And then I go to bed at 9:00 and that's it. No time for girlfriends, anything like that. That's my priority right now. But I was hoping by the time I was 40 that those seeds would be planted. So I'm not too old of a dad, but how do you do it, man? What are the tips?
I don't even know how sometimes I do it.
Give me the secrets to life, Trevor. Come on. I know you got them.
You know what? I guess it's the same thing with you. I love my job, but I definitely have to have a good work-life balance. So usually about after 5, that's my family time. But so sporting events, going out, just hanging out with the kids, enjoying the weekends. I definitely enjoy getting out camping. That's just getting out there, right? Leaving your phone at home.
Yes.
Just enjoying that time, those one-on-ones. Because, life is so busy. I honestly, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the secrets are. I don't know what it is. It goes by so fast. I feel like it's just a blink, and then they're 1, and then they're 10.
But so do you
enjoy hanging out?
Yeah. Where do you go camping?
Up in the Midland area.
Okay.
My family has a camp site up there that we try and get up to as much as we can. And the life, and that's just, you know what? It's just watching the kids run around. Just puts a smile on your face and just puts everything aside, and just makes it worth it at the end. It's not every day.
Yeah, well, I imagine, as we were talking about before, I was talking about deferred gratification, but a lot of times that, for me, the hardest things in life are often the most rewarding. Mm-hmm. And I think deferred gratification goes along with that, is being able to have faith in a process for many, many, many years, hoping that it returns a good reward for you. It seems to be that way with parents. A stupid question, but I'm so curious about fatherhood. You love being a dad?
I do. I do.
Is that your number one, you would say? The family life, business comes second?
I think, the family has to come first. Business comes second, but you also need a successful business to have a great family life. So it's everybody probably listening. You need money to do everything. And kids nowadays are not cheap.
Yeah, you bet. And I would hope, so you're saying they're intrinsically connected. Your business, your day-to-day, and the family, one helps grow the other.
Yep.
One helps grow the other. I would hope that people would enjoy their work. That's one of the things that I love so much about this show. We've had over 300 guests on the show now. You guys are like the 303rd, which is mind-boggling to me. It wasn't too long ago that was just an idea. But so many of the people that come on the show, all entrepreneurs, no employees, they love what they do. And I think that makes us better humans, better sons, fathers, brothers, friends. If you're just enjoying most of your time, I think you can be a better leader in whatever it is that you're doing. If you hate what you do, I'm probably going to not be as good of a son, friend, boss, whatever.
Yep.
So I appreciate the tips, man. But my last question is, you have more things going on in your life than I do because you have family and kids. I guess it just comes down to priorities, right? Like you just schedule these things in. You said after 5 o'clock family.
Yeah.
So that means you are constrained by time
Yeah.
for your workday to get it all in and be done by 5.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will take
That's,
that.
You're never going to get everything done.
Yeah. God, I just don't like that. I hate
know.
going to bed with emails in my inbox, but it's like I'm human. So many hours in the day, my world won't fall apart. But something I'm going to have to accept, especially once I have the kids. Maybe we'll hire a few robots to answer the phone or something like that.
You need time for yourself to recharge to tackle the next day.
I think it's right there. I mean, that's what my fitness is for me, but very individual life outside of the team. I like it that way, but I definitely want a partner. This is the first phase of my life where it's been like 5 or 6 years since I've had a committed relationship because I wanted to grow business. Mm-hmm. And one of my mentors who's been around for about 15, 16 years, she told me most people, if you are motivated and you want it bad enough, can likely get whatever it is that you want in life, but it's less likely to get them all at the same time. You want to be a dad, husband, you want to start a business, you want to get your health in order, you want to learn a new language. Doing them all at one time, maybe not the best approach. So I decided to compartmentalize and tackle this, then this, then this, then this. I gave myself this decade to get things in order. Now that I'm getting close to the end, getting grayer and grayer by the moment, don't want to be a 50-year-old dad with a 1-year-old. So I think I'm moving to that next stage, but I appreciate the pointers, man. And I'm glad you got it dialed in. It sounds like a very rewarding life. How about you, Kevin? What puts a smile on your face?
Oh boy. Well, many things. I've got 4 grandkids that are actually staying with us right now for the week. And it's a complete bedlam. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Welcome my everyday.
And I renovate my own house. We bought a country property 4 years ago, and we've been in a constant state of renovation. Just finishing an addition right now. So that when I'm not working, I'm doing something crazy that I usually pay professionals to do, but I'm not that smart when I'm at home. So I look after it myself. And the rest of the time, I mean, business is my life because it has to be. I mean, I've got several employees. I'm trying to make sure that they're all happy and healthy and their families are fed. And, you know, that's probably why my wife and I do this, is because we need to make sure that we're looking after our people. So, yeah, no, it's all good. We're having a great time, great life, and very happy to be involved and to meet Trevor and to be able to go in business with Trevor is just one of those things that just kind of fell in my lap. And so far it's been incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. What do they say? Something along the lines, I never get this quote right, but luck comes at the intersection of opportunity and hard work. Something like that. Like the people that are really getting after it in life seem to get luckier than the people who don't. So I imagine there was a little serendipity to you and Trevor connecting, but I'm glad you guys did. So you guys run the business together. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. Trevor handles all the day-to-day activities and client facing, and I handle everything in the back office and insurances and things that businesses need. Because and same with my business in Collingwood, we treat it the exact same. I've got people that run the day-to-day operations, and then I handle the business side of it. And we've become partakers of EOS. Do you know what EOS is?
EOS?
EOS, yeah, it's an entrepreneurial operating system.
Right. Okay.
And it's every Alair office in North America is involved with EOS, and it's a process of defining how you do business. And we've been on the EOS program for 3 years now. Completely changed how we do business. I know that I'm not the big idea guy and the integrator and the marketing guy and the salesperson, which for 6-7 years I tried to do that, and growth wasn't there. found EOS, started implementing that process, and growth happened. And everything we've done in the last 3 years since we've been in EOS, used it as a foundation, has been a benefit to us, has brought Trevor to us, so to me, defining who you are in the business is key to being successful.
Yeah, I think that's a really great tip. And out of all the hundreds of conversations we have, you're really the first one to bring that up. Something that we're learning about right now is I'm the kind of the vision, the innovator of the business, short term, long term. That's kind of my strengths. Connecting with customers, certainly, because I love having deep conversations, meaningful stuff to really get to know people. Sean's fantastic at that as well. But I've had a couple of partnerships before. I was in a fitness world for a long time, had my own gym, had one partner there, and then I had 3 partners in the HVAC world. We did that for about 5 years. And I really thought like my skills were great. So I'm out there looking for somebody else with the same skills. I wanted a clone of me. Never worked until I finally bumped up against the same mentor. Very lucky to have a few of them in my life, but one has been around for a very long time. She says, no, identify your weaknesses. If you're the innovator, if you're the visionary, great. Now get the salesperson. Now get the trainer, the recruiter. Now get the marketer, etc. And together, the 4 or 5 of you really are strong in each one of your own categories and can just be left to your own devices and start to grow rather than one person wearing all of these hats. And I found out that I had one good hat and like 5 or 6 really inefficient hats because I just wasn't that guy. Training for me, I tend to talk too much. So I need to have somebody that's a bit better to take my ideas and be able to train them well and really concise. So is that one of the main things from this EOS system that you've found to really help is identify your strengths and hire for your weaknesses?
Absolutely. There's other things you can do to find your strengths, but EOS helps put them into a category, helps understand what you're missing in your business. So I thought I was good at marketing. Turns out you're good at marketing. I am not. So now you're part of my EOS program. So, if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, we haven't really lost anything. We're moving forward. So having an integrator run our day-to-day activities is massive because for one person to do everything, small business, almost impossible. No. But to have somebody that's focused on running day-to-day and then somebody that's focused on making sure that everything they need is there is huge. It's huge for us.
And for you said for a small business, one person doing everything, almost impossible. Yet it is the most common small business model. Yeah. So Trevor, tell me a little bit about what your position is. Kevin was saying that you're the day-to-day.
I'm the day-to-day. So I'm the sales and project manager side of everything. And
so when you call our office, Trevor will be coming to your site to understand what you're doing, and then but he'll have 100% of support. Our goal is to build. We just started Midhurst June 1st, but we're basing it on how every other Alair office in North America works, right? So, but our goal is to put these other people in place as we grow. So, and because we're part of this defined organization, we know what those steps are to when we need to put those people in place because we've done it here, we've done it everywhere. So, Alair goes out of its way to train us to understand when these people need to fit in.
What a fantastic blueprint. I mean, in the fitness world, I connect business and its growth and its systems very similarly to fitness. I think most people, whether they're in the fitness world or not, I think it's a universal metaphor. It's understood pretty well. Muscle takes a long time to grow. The more optimal the recipe, X amount of workouts a week, X meal plan, X type of sleep hygiene. Those are the 3 main pointers that you have. And if I've trained 100 people, I've refined this process again and again and again. So even when I start from ground zero with somebody, I know the necessary ingredients and the rough timelines of when it's going to come. That's what it sounds like with you guys. Whereas unfortunately, again, our mission is to help small and medium businesses succeed. The vast majority of them do not have a blueprint, do not have a timeline, cannot say for 2024, we expect to grow by 15 to 21%. Even these, not very specific numbers based on key performance indicators. Most of them can't say that. So I imagine you guys are going to replicate that process and be very successful. And I just think that not only will that be great for you guys in Midhurst, but again, as I was alluding to earlier, the more businesses that can carve a path like this, show us the way, the more we will copy. I mean, I think one of the greatest forms of flattering is copying, and it's how we help each other out. There's a lot of businesses who do well keep all of their secrets hidden. I wrote a book on marketing, specifically lead generation. And the title of my book series, there will be many, just about finished up the second one, is called Giving Away the Secrets. We all get better this way. I love this business model. I'm sure we could learn a ton from it, even though we're a marketing company compared to a custom home company. It's the fact that you guys have a system, a working, breathing system to follow. Growing a business, I think, is one of the hardest things out there. Most of us do not have a recipe, yet we will put so much effort into getting a recipe for cooking a turkey, which has no risk, but we won't for a business plans. So many of them don't even consider marketing. Word of mouth and one-to-one. And I imagine Alair has a allocated percentage of marketing for marketing dollars.
Yeah. There's a CRM, which is the client retention module. There's many different avenues for their marketing. They spend a lot of time investing in their marketing program, websites, all the social interests or social media programs. We're involved in almost all of them at some point or other. I'm not that social media guy. We have people that through the EOS program that do that.
Yeah.
But it's way past my forte. So, yeah.
But it's great to know that because, entrepreneurship is an interesting thing. Again, most of this is just regurgitated from mentors and then experiencing it in my own life. So I have my own anecdotal evidence to attribute to their guidance, is that when I was an employee, and many of us go through this, you're working for somebody that maybe you don't like, or maybe you don't like that mission, or maybe you just don't like marching to somebody else's drum, somebody else's beat. So it's the idea of taking control back into your own life and saying, I'm going to start my own thing. So now I am in full control of this ship. I create the ship and then I steer the ship. And that maybe gets you to $100,000 in income. It's standard, like an average across the board. You get your business to that first, maybe $1 million in sales revenue, but about $100,000 in income on your own in many cases. But then how do you get to the next rung of the ladder? Most people, and logically, if this is what the past indicated, then this is what will indicate the future. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing at a higher rate. That seems to be where that system breaks down. So we went from an employee, no control or very little, to an entrepreneur full control for the beginning stages. And then I've found for the next multiple rungs of the ladder, it's about giving away your control and delegating and now trusting, which is very hard for us entrepreneurs to do, many of us, myself included. But it's definitely been the greatest investment into my business, is finding good people, things that I'm not good at, saying, I'm not good at this. I need you for this. Are you on board with this mission? And then letting them do what they need to do without micromanaging them has not only decreased the overwhelm and stress that I face day to day, but has skyrocketed our business over the last few years. And now I'm with a team of people who are working together for a mission, not a paycheck, because they're involved with the growth of this business and its destination. It's a wonderful thing. It took me 5 years to get there mentally, but it sounds like this is absolutely a part of your process. Yeah. The trusting, it's a team. It's not about a dollar. It's about building something great together.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very protective of our brand as well.
I bet. Yeah.
So,
To those high standards. I think that's great. You guys got a lot of things, a lot of desirable things that I hope many small businesses, especially the small, medium is, typically a stage or two above, that they can implement into their own business, whether it's a franchise or not. We can take that model and integrate it into our own local mom and pop shop. Great information, guys. Really appreciate it. So beyond just custom homes, you're really teaching us how to run a successful business in here in this conversation, which is just integral to this podcast. Getting on to hard things. We've talked about a couple of them before. Fatherhood, we know that's hard, super rewarding. Running a business, hard, super rewarding. Why do we shine a spotlight on hard things? I have my rules for life tattooed on my arm to make sure that I stay on point, especially when I'm in those shitty emotional circumstances. I think it's easy to succeed when things are going well, a little bit harder when you're in bedlam, as you said a moment ago, Kevin. But one of them is do hard things. And I have that there because I think fear stops us. I think our mind is our greatest obstacle in life. I don't think anybody else will stop me as much as I will stop myself. So I think it's often our mindset, insecurities, fear of judgment, ridicule, fear in some way. If you peel back the layers, it'll probably be fear of some sense. And we get fear when we're moving towards these difficult things, having a conversation with somebody that I don't think I'm worth the time or I'm of the same value as them, going up to a president, for example, or taking a test that is maybe outside of my scope, or venturing off into running my own business. All of these things are scary, and therefore they become hard. But if we stop ourselves at that fear, now we live potentially with regret, which is my main no-go zone. I will fail and risk and risk. I won't live with regret. That's the one thing that what if that scares me more than anything. But on top of that, I think our growth comes from our risks, our failures, our non-winnings. I think if I'm winning constantly, my brain logically will likely say, you're doing everything right. You're winning. You won the game. You got 100% on the test. Why change? I think often change is the result less so of a choice, more so of a necessity. I'm in an environment that's brutal. I now need to change. So from our failures, the way society deems them, I failed a business, failed a relationship, whatever the case is, I think this is the grand opportunity for rapid growth. I think that is the most information dense experience for me to go through to really grow and change. So that's why we like to spotlight hard things, our failures, because I think that's where we become more effective humans. So we like to ask the guests on the show, any hardships, trials, tribulations that you find gentlemen have been through that probably sucked in the moment, as failing a test does suck, or a painful experience in the gym, pushing our bodies, our mind, having hard conversations, probably sucked in the moment. But when you look back in hindsight, you would not remove that ingredient from the recipe that has become you, because you now look at it as integral for your growth, for who you are today. Anything come to mind, gentlemen? I see a lot of smiling right now.
I think there's a lot. I think I'm a firm believer life's a book, and
Me too.
not every book has a great chapter.
Yeah.
So, but you need to get by the shitty chapter to get to the better chapter for it to more make sense. So, and as you said, ourselves are our biggest roadblocks.
I agree. Yep.
I'm not going to touch on the personal, whatever,
No,
but yeah, I just.
You sure?
No, yeah, I'm good for it now.
Okay.
I'm getting out of my comfort zone right now. I'm not a big public speaker. I'm more of the guy that likes to stand in the back and, at your grade 9 dance, leaning against the wall, make sure it doesn't go anywhere.
Sure. Well, sometimes I found I do some counseling at an addictions facility. I think I was talking to you guys about that at the networking event on the weekend. I've been there for 3 years now. And sometimes I find in conversations in those counseling environments, as they're all hard conversations, emotional, like we're tackling pretty real problems, life problems, however we got there. That's the whole point of it. And I find sometimes just by leading, by sharing these experiences, as we do counseling over there a little bit differently. Therapy is typically you have a problem and the therapist answers the problem. They don't share about their own life. We do it in a way that's called peer support. So we share our own experiences to provide a space of comfort and sharing, really. So why did I get into that? To talk about this, because related to this topic, is I broke both my legs, basically 2 separate times. One was a dislocation, one was a break, and that led to heavy painkillers, which if you take those things every day, no question will you have a physical dependency on it, but likely a psychological dependency on it, which now results in an addiction, different from dependency. Once you have that psychological factor into it, typically comes an addiction. So that was my life. Brutal. Lost all my muscle, definitely went chubby, soft, was spending a lot of time laying around. You have no motivation. And I had to answer that own problem in my life by reaching out for help. We talked about mentorship, and you guys said just pick up the phone and call to learn about what the next stages are for your home or where your real estate journey is going. That's what I needed to do for me. I needed to get mentally and physically healthy by slaying this dragon that I didn't know how to slay. So I did that, learned those skills throughout that, 4 or 5 year process. This was brutal. This was definitely the most challenging period of my life. But that led me to becoming a counselor at this facility, and becoming a counselor led me to being a much better boss, much more compassionate, empathetic. It taught me so much more about myself. My self-awareness went up, my respect for other people. And on top of that is my gratitude for the moment. Because when you're dealing with something like that, I mean, death is kind of looming, right? It could go that way. You see other people go that way. You end up being at more funerals. So your appreciation for time now skyrockets. So I like sharing those stories sometimes. I mean, I talk about them often. They come up, whether I'm on somebody else's podcast, we're talking about them on here. I would never remove that ingredient from my life anymore, even though it fucking sucked in the moment. It sucked.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd enjoy my life even close to where I do now, and have my appreciation for other people and myself and time without it. I think I needed to go up against such a barrier and either decide to quit or figure it out. I decided not to quit, figure it out, and it's led to a much more beautiful existence. So I'm not saying that so you get into your personal. I just thought I'd share that. And if you're if that's your answer, no problem. Kevin, you want to weigh in on that? Any life challenges that we can learn from?
Probably about 5 years ago, I read a book called Eat Your Frogs.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. It changed my life because I would take stuff home with me. I'd never let it go. I'd sleep with it. I didn't sleep with it. It was mind-numbing, some of the stuff that I would sit at home and worry about. Procrastination. And then I read this book, and I just knew that I had to confront any of these issues that were looming in front of me. And when I started doing that, I have a sign on my desk that says "Eat Your Frogs." So if there's something going on with our business, something going on with our projects, we address it head on. We don't let anything fester, because that's where the issues start. And I've been in those situations where things festered, clients get upset. Somehow you have to fix that. But it's always reactionary. It's never because you were prepared for it. So Eat Your Frogs. It's a great read, and I'm not a big reader, but when I see something like that, when I get into a book like that, I can't put it down. Changes your life.
So what made you go to that book? Because I believe that as well. I'm the name of the person who coined that term is eluding me. He's a famous writer. I can't believe I'm forgetting it. But he talked about eating them in the morning. If you get rid of the shittiest stuff, the stuff that's looming, that builds the most anxiety, first thing in the day, your day can't get worse from there. Whereas if I leave that bill, that big nasty bill sitting on my desk, and it carries with me throughout the whole day and get worse every hour that I avoid it, procrastination can be this cyclical nastiness. What led you to reading that book, though, Kevin? Was there something that?
I think it was something to do with Alair, that somebody, one of the partners in the States or something, had mentioned it on one of the calls, on the all partner calls, and just that it had changed his vision. And so I immediately went out and got the book. And the difference that I do from what the book prescribed was, before I leave the office at the end of every day, I make sure there's nothing on my desk that I'm going to carry home in my mind that's going to keep me awake at night, that's going to have some kind of an impact on a relationship with a client, with an employee, with a trade, with anybody. So if there's something looming, we address it right away, get it off the table, and then we can all go on with our lives a lot less stressful.
So not only, I mean, you just said it, the value of that is at the very least decreases your stress, which makes you more effective at life in general. If we're carrying around a truckload of stress and we reduce it down to a carload of stress, I'm going to be that much more effective. But have you also found that that's increased your business's growth, customer satisfaction, something like that?
Yeah, it's all about customer satisfaction. Our client, a Google review from our clients is we've been doing, like I said, we've been doing this 10 years. I've had one bad Google review, and it was because, it was a crazy reason, but I still talk to the guy. Still, cordial with the guy, but once it hits Google, he had a bad day, put this review up, and it's up there forever. So, and I didn't respond to it because I didn't want to insult him. Even though he felt it was okay to insult me, but that's in the past. It's gone. It's a long time ago, and we've had many better reviews since then. So, but the idea is that everybody is happy with what you're doing, or you're not doing it properly.
Love it. And Trevor, you were saying life's a book. I absolutely agree. We go from chapter to chapter, and I couldn't get to the next chapter without writing the first chapter. And all different timelines. I mean, for me, 30 to 40 is one chapter, but maybe 26 to 27 is another chapter. When I was facing those major injuries, that was from 24 to 28. That was a chapter in it of itself. Pretty dark chapter. But again, the next chapter wouldn't have been so great without it. So to kind of take some key takeaways from what you guys are talking about, should we embrace our fears? Do we need that? Is that a necessity for growing as a human, not just a business, a father, just being an effective human, getting the most out of our life? Should we move towards things that we find ourselves scared of, or things that are difficult? Or maybe is the easier path the better one, seeking out comfort over discomfort? What do you guys think?
It's an individual answer. I mean,
I like that one.
I say for me isn't going to be the same for Trev.
No.
So you have to take life as it comes to you and deal with it in your own way. But if you have a footprint or somebody that can mentor you or help you through, then it's going to make it that much easier at some point.
Love that. Trevor, you got anything to add to that?
No, I think that, as they say, right, take life one step at a time. Who knows where it's going to go?
Really. I mean, that is the truth. No matter how much you map it out, I may have a 5-year game plan. And I think having a target to aim at is better than not. But that target may change in size and shape and area 100 times over by the time I get there. But I'd much rather be in that boat and have a specific destination rather than just let the currents take me, if that metaphor lands. I appreciate you guys sharing that a unique approach to it. I like how you said, Kevin, that it's an individual approach, because I'm really of the mindset of move into your fears. If you're scared of something, that's why you do it. But, I'm just one person of, 7-8 billion. I may not know anything like that at the end of the day. All the information that's available to us, what I have is a drop in an ocean. That's been good for me, may not be good for everybody else. So yeah, you really got to take life as it comes. I think that's a good way of looking at it. Gentlemen, before we wrap up, last couple of questions. all the information that you guys have, all that you know about Alair, you guys live with it day to day. You're talking to an audience member that just heard of it, right? Just heard of Alair 40 minutes ago and has decided to listen to this whole podcast. What's the main thing you would want them to know, either for Collingwood, for Midhurst, or just your whole business, you and Trevor and the team? What's the one thing that you would want them to be like, that's what I understand about Alair now?
Yeah, I would say that building trust is the key component to what we do. And we want every client to feel like they can trust us and we can trust them. And contractually, it's a whole, Alair being a large company has contracts, agreements, they call them, for every aspect of the project, which protects everybody, trades, clients, and us. But it's nothing new that, it's something that everybody should be working from. If you're not working from agreements, then you're carrying too much risk.
Yeah.
But basically it's trust, transparency, and satisfaction.
Perfect. Concise. Anything to add to that, Trevor?
No, I think the transparency with Alair, like it's all of our clients see where every penny of their money goes. We don't hide anything.
Is that uncommon in that industry? I've never built a custom home. So for the people that need to hear that, is transparency. I believe it's huge in every industry, but in some industries more than others. So is that uncommon, that transparency that you guys offer in that industry?
I believe it is, yes.
It's a knock on the industry for years has been that people that build by square foot don't reveal what they're paying for things, and you don't know what you're getting. That still happens, but a lot of the more contemporary builders are, sharing as much as they feel they can. But with Alair, everything is shared. So it is quite a difference. We just have to educate our clients into understanding that. So,
yeah, key. I think it is building those relationships. I say to a lot of people, when you look at marketing, again, sometimes that word comes off with like a sour taste to it. I said, how you created your relationship with your best friend should be your focus when it comes to your marketing. You created your relationship with your best friend by learning about them, being curious about them, trusting them, committing to them, showing up for them, taking time, hours of conversations, commonalities, providing them value, giving something without asking for things in return. So much in the business world, we use that word transactional. It doesn't have to be. Right now, this podcast is not transactional. Whether you guys were a client of ours or not, this would be here to learn about you guys, to learn about me, to share it with somebody else. Transparency is a focal point for us. I love that it is for you guys. You're the first ones on the show that have talked so much about transparency in your industry. I just think that's where we need to go to build better relationships with people, stand out from the crowd. I think it's great. Now, before I get into the last question, which is not on the questionnaire, because I don't like people to script it. So I'm coming for you, Trevor. What's the best way to get a hold of you guys if people want to connect? How do we find out about you? How do we learn more? How do we make that phone call for feasibility?
We can go to our website, Alair Homes Midhurst, and my phone number is listed right on there.
Beautiful.
And we have a half-page ad in the Midhurst Neighbors magazine with my phone number on there. And yeah, you can pretty much anywhere where you want to find me, you can find me.
Is there a social media presence?
There is an Instagram page. It's Alair_Midhurst. And yeah, you can contact me there too.
Wonderful. So they have your website, which is Alair/Midhurst.
It's alairhomes.ca/Midhurst.
Okay, alairhomes.ca/Midhurst. So they got that. All your contact info is on there, email, everything.
Correct.
And then for the Midhurst community that'll be listening to this, you can see them in the local publication, which is very cool. It's a beautiful ad. It really is. I'm not just saying that. We deal with design all the time, and I know you guys design that because we know our designer's style is very, very good. And then they also have an Instagram. If they just even type in Google Alair Homes Midhurst, they'll pull up your Instagram. Fantastic. Okay. Well, I appreciate everything that you've given us today, guys. The last thing that I want to know, and I'm sure many people are curious about this too, especially if they love those deep, meaningful conversations. This is my interest in life, period. I am fascinated by human potential. What are we capable of doing? How big of a business? How many people can we impact? What can I take my physical and mental health to? Like, is there a limit? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to hit that limit before I go. But one of the things I think about is impact and purpose. They've been the major drivers of my life, taking me to a place that I quite enjoy. What am I doing here? What is my purpose? And with that purpose, what kind of impact am I having on my world, big or small? Like, I'm born, I die. What is the ripple effect of Jeff being here? This was planted by that same mentor. She's been a huge driving force in my life. And in my early 20s, she was the first one to plant the seed to say, you know, I really encourage you to consider your impact, because that will be a major indicator of how you carry yourself day to day and the journey that you go on. So have you reflected on your impact up to this point? At 23, no, it was girls, cars, money, parties, etc., all superficial. I thought that's what we're supposed to have in life. Turns out it's not, or at least not all of it. And then she said, be very intentional about the day, because getting more time is completely out of your control. Something else beyond me is giving me more time each day. I cannot guarantee you that I'll be here on Saturday. Meteorite could come in. Like, who knows? There's so much that's outside of my control to give me time. What I can do is control the time that I've been given. So be very intentional about the day. What do you want the impact of the day to be? And then for however long you are here, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, etc., what do you want the net result of your impact to be? I'm very intentional about this. I know what I want it to be. I know what my purpose is, because I've thought about it a lot, and it's the main driving force of my life, which is to figure out all that I'm capable of, work hard mentally, physically, and then share it with other people. To me, that's being an effective human. The body, the mind, this environment was a gift given to me. I didn't earn it. Let's find out how amazing it could be, and then share that journey with other people. Hopefully they can learn from it. That's my thing. But we love to ask the guests on the show, what would you guys like your impact to be?
Well, I know what mine is, and it's to do with charity. So we donate a certain amount of our proceeds every year to charity, and we do in-kind work at a couple of different charities in this area. And I hope our intention is to expand that into Midhurst.
Love
that. That's what I want to provide, because I can't. I'm too busy of a lifestyle to go and volunteer somewhere. So I'd rather give them something that's, I think, is more meaningful by renovating a senior center or renovating a halfway house for kids, or we just did a project for a house that houses battered women. And that's what we want to do. That's my vision, is to be able to support that. And when we get moving in Midhurst, we're going to do something out there too, because Trevor and I are both of the same mindset when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. And I think that is, that's the meaningful stuff. At the end of the day, I think the money stops motivating a lot of us. It's now like, what can we do with it? To me, money is a tool. What am I using this tool for? Good, bad, nothing. Can I ask you why that's important to you, Kevin? To give back?
From a personal standpoint, a long time ago, I knew a woman that went into a shelter, and the shelter looked after her until they couldn't. She came back out and lost her life. So we've been kind of focused on making sure that I don't hear that story ever again. Another project we did was for a house for teenagers that couldn't live at home anymore for various reasons. And we increased the size of the house for them. And it was just because when I was a lot younger, there was a part in my life when I couldn't live at home either. I didn't have to go to one of those homes. Somebody took me in and cared for me until I was able to get back to where I came from. But I just remember that wasn't a good time for me, and maybe I could make a life better for some of those people.
I love it, man. It's so good. It really is so good to have that. You know, you built a good life for yourself. You could just keep it that way. And everybody's allowed to live the way they want to live. There's no fault to that. But for people to actually be like, I've built a great life for myself. Now I'm going to help other people have opportunities that maybe I didn't have, or maybe they can't currently have. There is a altruism to that we will never be able to have enough of. And I just think it's fantastic. We are in this very kind of privileged space here in the West, Canada and the States, many of us, compared to a good portion of the rest of the world. But even at home, the Cornerstone Recovery, the addiction clinic on the weekend, once I went into that world, I realized how many people there are out there suffering in some way. And then that seed's planted, and now it won't leave me to say, what good am I doing with the good I've been given? And how about you, Trevor? Of the same mindset?
Yeah, just giving back. I think that's a time where we're at right now, and that's big.
So does it give you guys a good feeling knowing that you're creating some good out there?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. What's the point of doing it if you're not going to give back to something? You have to have a focus.
Yeah. And I find it incredibly motivating. Most of my life was 37 was selfish, right? Certainly from 0 to 10, 10 to 20. And then in my early 20s, I remember it took a little while, but those seeds of service that were planted, once it actually started, the feeling of serving other people and not asking for anything in return, you seeing the impact on that person's life. Thankfully, whatever created us made that incredibly motivating. It feels really freaking good. Gentlemen, what a conversation. This is one of the longest ones we've had, and it just flew by. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Really bringing us into the franchise of Alair, your own personal lives, your impact, your purpose, why you guys do this, the standards that you've set so that our audience knows what they're getting involved with, your dedication to education and building awareness out there in our local world. It's fantastic. It was a pleasure speaking with you guys, and I'm looking forward to many more conversations. Is there any last words that you wanted to send out there before we wrap up?
Just thanks very much, Jeff. This has been very, very enlightening, and it wasn't near as hard as I thought it was going to be. It made it quite easy. So thank you.
Yes. No. Yeah. Thank you, and look forward to doing this again. Yeah, man. It's I don't know. It's a special place for us to just be able to chat and have some level of productivity done that could help even one person. It's definitely going to be seen by a lot more than one. But you guys are super easy to talk to. It's the biggest compliment you could ever give a host by saying this was easy, enjoyable. So I really appreciate that. And until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks. Bye. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.